Right, I suppose I ought to at least get the.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun dun dun.
What's that meme you posted, Ozzy?
We are live, people.
Clicked on it.
Remain in your seat belts, whatever you call it, and remain in your upright positions.
We are live, people.
Keep going.
Remain in seat belts.
Remain in seatbelts, whatever you call
Paula,
it. Remain
you've
in
got
your
Nico.
upright
No, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm trying to bloody get to the thing.
Was that me?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm sorry. Let's keep going more.
No.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm sorry.
No.
No.
All right, have we got this underway? Are we ready to play?
No.
Oh, we have Kristen in the chat again, so at least somebody who's
poor little
not
puppy.
actually live streaming right now is listening. Woohoo.
Regular.
Oh, we have Kristen in the chat again, so at least somebody who's not actually live streaming right now is listening.
Regular.
Don't do that.
What's going?
Now for tonight's selection, we have gathered a fine group of videos for your viewing pleasure.
Our delectation.
I mean, for us, it's going to be displeasure.
And for number one position, we have Ken Ham tweets crap again. We got Bob the Science Guy, something to do with pet rocks. We have I can't pronounce that. I think it's fuck it, isn't it?
Phuket.
Yeah, that's him.
Phuket word.
And that word effect and other claims. I think it's to do with jet streams, from what I previously found out. And we've got Cellar Smeller. I'm open for any better ideas. Let me know.
Well, we don't need the Pratt because he just prattles on.
We've got an extra one here, bonus part 1 of Bob the Science Guy calling out Nathan and Quantum Eraser. So, please vote now, and only one vote per person.
Pet rock.
Yeah, let's go for that one.
Yeah, pet rock.
Break. It's not coming through. What's not coming through, Carl?
Go pet rock.
Yeah, pet rock.
So we've got 2 rocks. I can't read the side chat, so...
I think it's okay, Terry. Carl was saying he couldn't hear you, but the chat is saying they can, so...
Oh, that's your problem, Carl.
So I don't know what he's on about.
I'm barely hearing an echo, but I don't know who it is.
Not this time.
I think it's Quasar.
What? How could it be me?
I keep seeing you light up when you're not talking.
But the echo wouldn't come through me.
Okay. Well, I've got to blame someone.
Just blame me again. I don't care.
No, you're already taken the blame once. So
How can the echo come from me? There's no way the mic can go through my head to the headset.
Well, I'll go up the list. It's Leah there.
No, it's not me.
No, it's not Leah. Okay, it's Davros then.
How could it be me? I've got YouTube playing on the tablet with the sound down.
Okay, it's Globehead then.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about me.
Why?
There we go. That fixed that problem.
Oh no, this is not a good start.
It's everybody else except for me.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
back. My internet died.
Oh, I forgot Gorg. I
yeah,
forgot
it's Gorg.
Gorgie.
It's Gorg.
Oh, that was Gorg, was it? That was
What?
you, Gorg.
What was me?
The problem we had.
What problem?
Right, it's all fixed now, so it
It's
doesn't
no
matter.
problem now.
Was it
Exactly.
existence?
Yeah, not now. It's not. No, it's all right now. All good.
He fixed it.
Yeah, if that person that had the background sound, I'll just have to make sure they don't do it again.
Ban them next time they do it, Terry.
Okay, I'll do that.
Mm.
Might even kick them from the server if they keep it up.
Yep. Not welcome anymore. Zero tolerance.
Cough. Carl coughs. We'll get a cough from Carl. Alright, now how do I do this? I'll go back in random picks. Oh. No, wrong one. Oh, video, sorry.
If we don't need to see the lurking cat.
Mostly we're just seeing Gorgie's stuff.
Okay. A pet rock. Is Flat Earth the pet rock of YouTube? Get
Well,
ready.
right off the bat, that's a positive sign.
Okay, keep your ears open and your brains closed. Now, do I press play or do I press the other thing?
You've got the video all set up, ready to go. So then
no.
you change over to change the screen to change the OBS output to the YouTube to the YouTube screen, and then press play.
Okay. Oh, I got a new subscriber. Anyway, sorry. Where was I? Scene selection.
Terry, you're really quiet on the stream.
Sorry. Is that better?
On the stream, not on the
On the
Discord.
screen, you need to turn you know the volume for your microphone in OBS. You need to turn that up a little bit.
Okay, testing now,
A
people.
little slow.
I turned it up a little bit more. Maybe I should talk into the microphone would help too.
That really would help. Yes.
No, as in you were sounding like you were across the room.
Well, I usually am.
Like much worse than on Discord, like you would turn down.
Well, I might have to double check my settings if I'm not loud enough on YouTube.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Well, you just turn up the output slider.
Well, it's nearly. I can't push it any further. It'll end up sliding off the screen.
What you mean? You've already got it at maximum.
Yeah, it's almost the red that's going into the red even.
And you're deafening people if it's going into the red.
Well, it's going past the end bit. It's going past the yellow.
You're deafening people. Rip headphone users.
Turn it down just a fraction.
Okay, I've turned it down a little bit. It's still going past the yellow.
No,
yeah, but
that's
the
where you
yellow's
want it.
fine. You want it hit. You want it hitting the yellow, and then
Just hitting the yellow.
yeah, just hitting the yellow. You want it in the yellow a bit,
Okay,
and then oh, I've just I was just being stupid.
And finding YouTube, Terry.
I'm fine on YouTube, Terry.
You're finding YouTube.
Okay. But it's not all about
There's
me.
me trying-
It's not all about me. I don't.
There was me trying to turn my volume up while I've got the
You good on the stream?
compressor on it.
Okay, I'm ready to press play.
But you're a tiny bit loud on the stream.
Tiny bit loud?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn myself down a little tiny bit more. And I don't know how loud it's going to be through the stream through YouTube. So please advise of any sound levels that need tweaking. Okay, open your ears and close your brain. Here we go.
You know, last week I had the misfortune of being involved in a debate with a flat earther about the function of a gyrocompass. As he began to describe the function of the gyrocompass as running an electric charge through a ring of mercury, my mind began to wander. At about 3 minutes into the debate, I began to wonder if there were better ways for me to hasten my inevitable death, and I considered chain smoking. Now, for 8 months, I have tried to figure out what is the deal with the flat earth. How in 2019, with the availability of the internet and all of the science and data that we can access with our fingertips, could people possibly believe that the earth was flat? Then I thought back to my childhood and the answer came to me. It's elegantly simple. You see, flat earth is the pet rock of YouTube and the internet. In a moment, I'll tell you why. Now, as the story goes, a bunch of guys were getting together complaining about things, because that's what we guys do. And they started talking about the problems they had with their pets. And there was a running joke around the office that, we really need to have some pet that doesn't have any maintenance to it. The ideal pet would be a rock. It just sits there, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't have to be fed, bathed, and it doesn't die. So, this running joke was heard by a gentleman by the name of Gary Dahl, who was an advertising executive. And he kind of got to thinking about it over a while. And this was the result. The pet rock. It came in its own carrying case with breathing holes. It had a nest, you had the pet rock, you had a collar, a leash, and most importantly, you had an instruction book. Now, this sounds like a joke, and it was, but it was a cute joke because the instruction book was really what you were buying because it was hilarious, and we're going to go over that in a couple of minutes. And the best part about it? It made old Gary a millionaire because he was the one that thought of the idea, and he was the one that developed the marketing strategy for it. But what does this all have to do with the flat earth? Well, funny you should ask. Let's have a look. Folks, let me introduce you to Matt Powerland. He's one of the earliest proponents of the flat earth and has been targeted by Eric Dubay as somebody that quote-unquote stole his idea. My friend and fellow creator Rory has done an 18-minute video
Terry,
of Matt
I think
Powerland
you better pause
claiming
the
that
video
he
for a
started...
second.
Paused.
Yeah, you've cut off
You've
the
gone full.
picture.
You went.
I made a boo-boo.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you went full screen when you really wanted to cinema mode, I think. Or did I just screw up?
Or did I screw up? Yeah, I think I screwed up.
Something changed. Yeah.
Terry's fault.
Yeah, my fault.
Terry,
Sorry.
yes, you've gone full screen, and you really didn't want to go full screen.
Yeah, I know. I realised it when you said pause, and I went, I think there's something wrong with that.
I'm hearing everything in triplicate.
But just as a side note, the fact that the pet rock came with an instruction book, that's the only problem I have with this analogy for the flat earth. Because there is no instruction book for the stupidity that they spew.
Well, let's write one.
or a model.
How to care for your flat earther.
Oh,
yep.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, guys.
They didn't pick your video that you meticulously studied.
Ah, that's fine. All good.
we might do that one later.
Mind you, it'd probably just drive me to rage quit having to watch it a second time.
Okay. There's a rumor going around that you're getting a lease a contract through Microsoft for a flight sim because you broke the flight simulator.
Oh, it's fixed now though.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Control Alt Delete.
Oh, you just had to end the task.
You mean it was an Apple control reset?
No. I think it took about 8 hours of work though to get it back up and running.
Let me guess, you had to find some Altec STs.
I don't know what that is, sorry.
That was the trade that used to look after simulators for the Royal Air Force.
Ah, okay.
Electronics technician simulated trainer.
Yeah, but we've been told unless the thing's on fire, don't press the big red button. So the techs have forewarned us. Otherwise, we'll get a slap on the wrist if we do it again.
Yeah, the fire department with us, they said if we call that a second time, we give you a bill.
Yeah, like it's not connected to a fire or anything. It's just if there is a fire or like a real emergency, you're meant to push the big red button. But fuck, it felt like the thing was about to rip itself off the mountings and start walking out of the facility.
Yeah, they said you get one free call and that's it. The second time you call us out, you'll be charged.
The place was on fire, so I was just trying to escape out.
Oh, I can press play now.
You can indeed.
Oh yeah, and you were just breaking through occasionally, like with the voice activity, breaking through the into the stream.
Yeah, people's mics are a bit too sensitive, got the air conditioners and whatnot, heaters going.
You were one of them, Quasar.
I know, that's why I'm offering an excuse.
Oh, very good.
And
I was listening in the headset.
And I kept hearing this background echo all the time, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but no one had owned up to it.
Except, yeah, it was you, I know.
Righto, here we go.
Started Flat Earth as a joke as part of his comedy routine. Now, I've spoken to a woman who claims to have written this material for this routine, but I'm going to let Mr. Powerland say a little bit for himself.
From stock price fluctuations to devastating drought, as a farmer, you face many challenges.
Via these fakes who are all infringing and violating my copyright. That's Rob Skipa. You use my talking points, Rob Skipa. I will get at your address. I will serve you. That's Mark Sargent.
Get ads.
You use my talking points. Twist it so you can get around it, but you still use flat Earth. You still say that all the images of Earth are paintings. This is all my routine. This is all photo or painting. You've repackaged.
Okay, so back to business here. The pet rock movement was started pretty much as an inside joke, and then a marketer got a hold of it. According to Mr. Matt Powerland, Flat Earth was started as part of his comedy routine, and then marketers got a hold of it. Now, in order to really make this an interesting thing, you've got to have a good backstory. And with the pet rock, it came with this little booklet that was shipped with every pet rock. Let's go through it. Now, the first thing that you need to do with a good story is you need to make your audience feel special. Now, with a pet rock, you are now the owner of a genuine pedigree pet rock, not just any old wild rock on the side of the road. This is a special rock. This is found by specially trained dogs on a remote beach in Mexico, kind of like truffle pigs, and probably as valuable as truffles. At least that's the implication. And you know, not everyone is the right kind of person to be able to own a pet rock such as this one. You're special. Now, despite being sold as very low-maintenance pets, apparently there's a lot to know in order to be the proper owner of a pet rock. For example, you have to leave it in the box for 3 days to let it get used to the environment and, wait for it, wake up. Then you need to give it its own special place that it can call home. Someplace that it feels safe, kind of like YouTube and the Flat Earth movement. Now, the beauty of a pet rock is that it's perfect for people that don't like animals, or that don't want to have to care for an animal or learn much about them. Kind of like the flat Earth looks at physics. Now, like the flat Earth and Robotham, your pet rock comes from a long and illustrious line. The pyramids of Egypt, the Great Wall of China, the streets of ancient Rome, all had your rock's ancestors in them. Yes, that's right. In addition to being descendant of rock royalty. Oh, hang on a second. There, that's better. They've played an important role in history. Like the flat Earth, rocks even played an important role in the Bible. Now, one of the first things that you should do as the owner of a new pet rock is try and teach it a few commands. The one that they recommend you try first is come, and it has very specific instructions on how to train your pet rock to come. It says that you should use the pet's name and speak with authority and command it to come using hand signals. So, like this. Come, Brutus, come. And it says that the pet rock probably won't do anything at first, but it offers advice for that. Here, let's see. So, repeat the command. Come, Brutus. Come on, fella. Here, boy. Now, start walking slowly towards your rock. Incredibly, as you walk towards your rock, it'll appear to be coming towards you. Make sure to give it a good pat of approval, though. This is very similar to what we see in the flat Earth, except they call it perspective. Well, the next trick's a little easier to teach a rock, and that is the command to stay. It says here all you really need to do is put the rock on the ground and tell it to stay. It generally picks it up on the first.
Yes. I stopped.
Cool. Okay, so now you saw how he said, come Brutus, come on Brutus, and he didn't come. That is like when you explain something to a flat earther, but they just don't want to know what you're trying to tell them.
They don't want to come to your line of logic.
Or reasoning, or the fact that the simplest answer is often the correct answer.
No, they won't come to that. They'll stay. They'll stay where they are.
Maybe if we say, "Come on, Brutus, come, Brutus," they might actually come along.
Yeah. What if we start calling them all Brutus?
No.
Okay.
Went quiet.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh. Okay.
Okay, I'll press play.
First try. Now, it recommends that you go back and check it once in a while. But like the horizon being flat and rising to eye level, there's no need to check it. Now, another important thing to do with your pet rock is teach it the difference between stay and sit. Now, if you tell the rock to sit and you sneak out of the room and then come back and you find that it's actually laying down and staying, you need to scold the rock. Kind of like this. Bad, horizon. Bad. Get back up to eye level. Now you would think that the next command would be stand, but you're presupposing the rock has feet. It doesn't. Now the next trick is probably one of my favorites, and that's roll over. Roll over is kind of an interesting trick to teach your pet rock, because in the wild, it's a natural phenomenon for rocks to roll over, especially during landslides. But when you have a domesticated pet rock, you need to help it out a little bit. So the first thing you do is you go up to the top of a mountain, and then you command the rock to roll down the mountain and let it go. And it'll keep doing that until it's tired, generally at the bottom of the mountain. Now, this is really cool because, obviously you're not changing the mountain yourself. You can't wiggle it. And gravity, well, what's gravity? What you are changing is your independent variable, and that is you telling the rock to roll down the hill. You wiggle the independent variable, you tell it to go roll down the hill, and it rolls down the hill. You have your cause and your effect. Now, the independent variable, of course, is the presumed cause of the rock rolling down the hill. Sound familiar? Now, the final trick that I want to teach my pet rock is play dead. Now, fortunately, this is pretty easy for them to do, and they seem to enjoy it. It's just kind of like their go-to trick. Even when you're not around, they'll just play dead all on their own. They seem to enjoy it. It's kind of like mountains disappearing into the inferior mirage. That's just what it does,
Is this
right?
thing working?
You know, here's where the flat earth and a pet rock owner are very, very similar. Many of us say that we can see curve on the horizon, but you can see the truth. You know that it's flat and you can see it. Just like these rocks right here. I don't own a pet rock, so they both look fine to me. But if you were a pet rock owner, you would know that rock on the right is really sick. Now, finally, a word of caution. You should only get domesticated pet rocks. A wild rock will always be wild. You can only get your pet rocks from authorized distributors, much like Flat Earth gets their information from authorized websites. So never go outside your authorized websites and never get a pet rock from the wild. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I remember Christmas in 1975. Everybody wanted a pet rock, and our parents all wanted mood rings. But there was one difference between the pet rock movement back then and the flat earth movement now. Pet rocks are a real thing, and we knew they were a joke. So, this is Bob the Science Guy, signing out from Northern Michigan. Thank you very much for stopping by, and if you have a moment, hit that little like and...
Well, I can see some similarities in a rock to a flat earther.
What, their density?
Yes. I was thinking of density.
So how old are these rocks? Are they as old as God says or as old as science says?
6,000 to 10,000 years, obviously.
Oh, creationists would think that everything's only 3,000, 4,000 year old.
How old are these rocks?
But I have a question because these rocks were obviously at one point part of a larger piece of rock. So are we talking about the age since they became small pebbles, or are we talking about the age when they were part of the big rock before they got broken off?
Is a concrete slab technically a rock?
No.
No, it's a concrete.
It's called concrete.
A piece of concrete could be turned into a rock.
No, that's classified as
Actually,
gravel.
no, it's still a concretion with gravel inside it. But in fact, most of the pebbles and small rocks like that in the UK are about 10,000 years old. Because they were
Sedimentary stone concretions.
Because most of them were left behind by the last major glaciation.
Oh, you mean that ice age that happened about 11,000 years ago?
Yeah, that might be the when the back end of it kind of buggered off back over the northern hills, shall we say?
Yes. Yes, when the frozen waters of the North Atlantic got moved backwards.
Yeah, something I don't believe has happened very recently in the land down under.
You're talking about Australia?
Well, of course. Where women go and men thunder.
We have the oldest rocks ever found.
No, that's not correct. We have some of the oldest rocks on Earth, not the oldest.
Yeah, I thought
They
South
were
Africa.
they were discovered in Western Australia, and they were aged at 4.4 billion years old.
Nah, they're about 3.4. There's older rocks older than that.
Yeah, I thought there was somewhere in southern Africa that had the record for how old. But I know either way they're both sort of places that have been in the southern hemisphere for quite a long time.
It's one of the deserts. I think it might be the Atacama Desert.
Wouldn't have thought so because the Atacama Desert's in South America, and it's right on that subduction zone and everything else. And I don't think the American continent's that old. South America's that old, is it?
I don't know, but just remember that there is a fine line to what actually constitutes a rock. Some people would say that's not a rock.
It's a stone.
Yeah, it's a big difference between what they constitute as a rock, the world's oldest rock. It ranges between 4.3 and 3.4.
So if we're using the analogy of these rocks with flat earthers, we're in between a rock and a hard place, aren't we?
We are.
or a rock in reality.
It's in the chat.
But are these flat earthers stoned?
Well, some of them have got some form of extracurricular mental deficiency that is caused by some other thing other than their mental retardation.
Ozzie Globet, I beat you.
And does a rolling stone gather moss, or a rolling flat earther gather moss?
It's actually the Canada area for the oldest.
Crystal's not a rock.
Yeah, but the zircon crystal is thingied inside the rock, and I think they know
crystal formation is rock.
Yeah, the crystal formation. The crystal formed inside the rock is the point when the rock was formed. So we know the crystals are as old as the rocks.
They also polarize when they cool.
Isn't that the same way they work out that there's been pole shifts because of the alignment of the
crystal, yeah.
Crystallized iron ore?
The zircons, when they cool, they point north. So they record the actual pole at that period of time. So it's roughly about every 175,000 years there's a pole shift.
But wouldn't a big diamond or be classed as a rock, and then we can see straight through it?
Becomes a porthole.
As if we go in the flat earth road.
What you mean? 6,000-year-old rocks should be diamonds?
Well, if we're using a pet rock as an analogy as a flurfer, well, a diamond would be better because we can see through a diamond.
Oh, look at that. The oldest rock found was in Canada in 1999.
It's even older now.
It's 4.031 billion years old.
They do say that Jack's Hills is 4.4 billion, but
Yeah, it says the zircon that was found there is 3.7 billion.
yeah.
But what was the margin of error when they dated that rock in 1999 compared to something that was found earlier?
0.003 billion years. Plus or minus.
Isotopes don't lie.
And another
So
point.
plus or minus 3 million years. That's actually pretty damn close, isn't it?
And the other similarity I see between these rocks and flat earthers is the rocks are not flat-sided or got corners. So flat earthers, like, they cut corners. So they end up being a rock.
What about slate? Is slate flat?
Oh.
Slate's flat and has corners. It has some quite sharp edges even. Because it depends what sort of rock you are.
Well, if you cut corners, you'd be a round rock.
Well, it depends on how long they've been jogging about somewhere together in close proximity.
The puns are coming out quick tonight.
Yeah, we're on a rock and a roll.
The River Rebel.
Now, if we broke open a flat earther, would we find a fossil, or would we have more luck finding a fossil in a rock?
Or would it be more like a Cadbury cream egg?
You change that last question, Terry. Instead of fossil, can you say brain cell?
Be completely empty.
So it'll be a hollow rock.
Aren't flat earthers already broken? Hey, what was the video about anyway? I got in a bit late.
Rocks.
Pet rocks, as in a flat earther.
What, having a flat earther as a pet rock?
Well,
yeah.
You treat them the same.
Yeah.
You get the same results from them.
Pet rocks and river rocks. River rocks and flat earthers are exactly the same. Good point.
Oh.
It was a pretty amusing video, though. Yeah. Got to give it all
Oh,
Bob.
yeah.
That was pretty amusing.
Isn't that religious? Do you know? Not flat Earth?
Yeah, and science and science is a religion, evolution's a religion. Well, yeah, just science in general, I suppose. It's a belief.
We won't go to the one Rich watched because he said he'll get a headache if he watched that again.
No, I said I'd probably rage quit if I had to watch it again. You can if you want. Yeah.
Well, I could leave that one for Saturday night to give you a chance to forget about it till then. Let it wear off.
How long do you think my memory is? I'll give you till Saturday because, yeah, surely you would have erased your brain by then. So.
Dump the useless information.
I know some flat earthers have got a memory like a goldfish.
Wait a minute, Rich. Hang on a sec. You erased your brain last Saturday.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it's still there. If you remember doing this, oh yeah, I do now. Yeah, true.
partial erase.
Are you fly a plane?
Yeah, that bit doesn't get erased, unfortunately. So, fortunately. Fuck.
Unfortunately, I don't forget how to fly a plane.
Well, it'd be like learning all over again. The wonderment and excitement of doing something new. That would have its benefits, I suppose.
Imagine having to learn everything new every time you.
That would
That
be
like
okay.
every time Terry does a stream.
Well, I think Aussie Ballers one with Cellar Smeller might be entertaining.
Oh, come on then. Let's have a.
Or you got Bob Science Guy again. You got the.
No, let's have some Cellar Smeller.
Okay, Cellar Smeller.
Yeah.
I'll let you watch it because I'll be back in a sec.
No.
What's the context?
We've got to pause and we've got to make we've got to make quite a lot of commentary on Cellar Smeller because he is infamous for his striking mode, isn't he?
He will copyright
You can't just let
strike.
him play.
Feel unlucky.
Because otherwise he might try a copyright strike.
Okay then.
I'm not actually familiar with who it is. So what's the context behind it and who's the person?
You know Daniel Pratt?
The Dumb Pratt.
Oh, okay.
So how many seconds? It goes for 5 minutes. So what segments?
Well, we will be a lot more we must be a lot more interactive with stopping you and making comment.
Is there like a minimum amount of seconds?
At least every 30 to 45 seconds.
Well, okay, I'll stop it at least 30 seconds then, or less.
Well, let him finish. Let him say a sentence. We can pick it. We could always pick it apart sentence by sentence.
That sounds fair.
Don't go thought by thought, or else you won't stop it at all.
I'll be back in a sec. So intermission time.
Talk amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
What time to get drinks?
Yeah.
I need it for Pratt.
So how's everyone's Wednesday?
It's Wednesday night. Been raining.
It's riveting.
Yeah. It's kind of Wednesday lunchtime now.
Oh, yep. 12:45.
No, 1:45.
1:45.
Oh, what daylight savings?
Yes, daylight saving, British summertime.
That old chestnut.
That one. That one that the New Zealanders still use to make the time difference in our winter 13 hours.
Like for good luck, or?
Well, it should be 12 hours, shouldn't it? But in the summertime when we're on summertime, it's 11 hours, and in the winter when they're on summertime, it's 13 hours.
They don't have daylight saving, do they?
They do in New Zealand.
Do they?
Yeah. Doing Queensland doing New South Wales as well, which throws me.
Queensland doesn't.
Yeah, Queensland, Northern Territory, and Western Australia don't.
Yeah.
Don't, but New South Wales does. Does Victoria?
Yes.
Yeah, Melbourne, I think, does. Or Victoria, rather. Yep.
And South Australia?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Tasmania.
And capital territories? I say, there you go.
The ACT does, yes.
Northern Territory doesn't.
Like I get it for eastern and central states, but yeah, the the Northern Territory or WA trialled it for a few years, and it was completely ridiculous. You know, because they're on the west coast, it doesn't get dark till late anyway. So, you know, daylight savings in WA, the sun's still up at freaking 9:30 at night. It's like serious in summer, like cause, you know, sunset's not till 8:30, and now it's 9:30.
Yeah, but Rich, I'm kind of like used to the idea that the sun goes down at 9:45 at night anyway.
Yeah.
The solstice sunset here for me was at like 9:40. Get across to the Welsh coast. That's going to be 10 o'clock. And go up to the. Actually, if you go up to the Shetland Islands and go up to Saxonford, where the RAF radar station used to be, you can sit on top of the mountain, and on the solstice, the sun doesn't set. Because although you're not quite in the Arctic, the couple of thousand feet, there's sort of like 2,500 feet elevation you're at on top of the mountain, means that the sun doesn't totally go below the horizon.
Yeah, I remember being in Amsterdam in their summer for holidays, and started drinking during the day, and then left the pub at 11, and it was still daylight. Man, that really messes with your head when you walk out blind drunk, and like essentially the sun's still up. It's like, oh my god, is it 4 a.m? Like,
it's like in Spain, everything shuts down between 12 and 2. Everyone goes home and has a sleep.
Siesta.
Yeah.
Yeah, siestas are kind of helpful that down there. Although, of course, it doesn't help the Spanish that they're on Central Europe.
Terry's back.
Yeah, I'm wondering why I could hear myself repeated with quite a big delay.
He needs some WD-40 on his chair.
Oh, did I forget to mute?
He needs a decent headset.
That wasn't Terry's chair, that was his bones.
Yeah, I forgot to take my glass of WD-40 tonight.
Terry, will you mute your output or something?
Mute my output. My mic.
Your speaker's feeding back into the mic, maybe.
Do you have a headset?
No.
Yeah, that's usually the best way to fix that is with a headset.
Yeah, because that way your sound doesn't go through back. Your speakers don't go back through your mic.
I wonder if it's the heater. I've got a fan heater blowing. That might be what it's picking up.
No, it's picking up. It's picking up everybody and feeding it back through.
I'm not getting an echo when I speak here.
I don't think the echo's through Discord. You mean through the stream?
Gonna have to do a GoFundMe for Terry.
On a few things.
That's all right. We can set that up, I reckon. Pass the hat.
Don't everybody talk at once?
Well, you told me to mute myself so there's no sound.
Or maybe mute the stream or something, or
I can't mute. I don't know what to press.
Well, just
go to your
Yeah,
YouTube page and pause that one.
Yeah, that is paused, and I've got the sound turned off.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, the sound's.
I'm not getting an echo.
That's muted on my YouTube stream page. It's muted there, and.
Well, you can't really mute it anywhere else, can you?
It's muted there. Yes, I can.
Fair enough.
There.
Not that one, stupid.
Don't take your bat and ball, Terry. So are we going to watch this video?
Well, I've been waiting.
You only just got back.
Shh.
Don't bring facts into this.
Yeah, don't bring facts in.
Don't bring facts or observations. You know? Yeah.
Who was entertaining us while we were gone?
We were talking about daylight savings.
The magical world of daylight savings.
How illuminating.
Yeah, that and time zones.
Okay, we'll press play. So,
Okay.
So 1 second at a time.
What? 1 sentence or 1 second?
Oh dear. What do I do here? Press that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Does that look good?
Can't see anything.
No, you're still on the Discord page output. You need to swap.
Oh God!
You need to swap streams.
Scared.
What? You said it
No, it
wasn't
looks okay.
working. You said it wasn't working.
There's just a slight delay between us talking.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. It's up. It's good.
Yeah, I knew that.
Hit play.
Yeah. Oh.
As you were.
Oh dear. Go.
Sorry, I've got a longer delay, I think.
Or when Alan catches up.
Yeah, I know when you hit. I'm watching the thing so that when you hit.
Do you see an ugly face?
I see a very ugly face. I see a face that's almost as ugly as mine.
Okay then.
Might even be a bit worse.
Well, okay. Ready, go. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. You might be able to hear it if I unmute it. Alright, try again.
Okay, folks. It is good to be skeptical to a degree.
Is that true?
My YouTube's not working. I can't hear anything.
Oh no. We're going to have to repeat every word he says to Woz. You could watch it in Discord and then try to catch up.
I may have it now. Hang on.
Okay.
I'll just keep playing it. Don't worry about me.
Why? We all look out
because if you pause it for me, I can't tell if it's working.
Is it working?
Hang on, I've got to flip over. 1 sec.
Has anyone
Wonders
else,
of technology.
Now, while I'm here, has anyone else got a problem so Woz doesn't feel alone?
No problems here.
Oh shit.
No.
No. Okay.
This just was. We can cancel him later.
All good, guys.
Okay, we can go now. We got permission. Woz, we can go.
Yeah, you always had my permission.
Oh, okay. No, sorry, I didn't want to step on your toes or anything.
No, it's alright. I've got steel caps on.
Okay, let's go. But anyway, the question was, from what he just said, we're all a bit skeptical, a little bit or something.
Being a bit skeptical is always good. Well, yeah. Especially when somebody obviously seems to be trying to sell you snake oil.
So he's being cautious, skeptical, or there's a level of degree of being skeptical, isn't there?
Yeah.
You don't want to be completely paranoid to be skeptical.
I was just about to say this. You go too far, it's not skeptical anymore.
Yeah, it becomes dishonesty.
What makes you a flirter?
Yes. Okay.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion and their thought process. This is where I'm at. What better do we got going on?
Wait a minute. Was that bad grammar? That didn't sound right to me, grammar-wise.
At the time, all I seem to keep hearing about from larger channels, and through no fault of their own, it's something to consider, but is about Storm Area 51. Now, when I think there's a fire commission coming out asking for a new investigation, that's all. The investigation hasn't been done. They haven't set the parameters of the investigation. It's just an initial filing or, action. To already be saying all fire departments are Masonic, and so every small town fire department, your neighbors that are firemen that live next to you are doing goat head rituals in their...
What the? I thought he was talking about Area 51.
All right, he's mixing up his conspiracies.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, I can't quite follow.
Okay. So he's talking about how people think that the fire department are Masonic and that they were part of the conspiracy of 9/11. But then he's also talking about how there's the conspiracy that a lot of bigger channels have been talking about with the Storm Area 51 and how they should or shouldn't do it. But because he's not got his story straight, he's combining the two stories together.
Or is he just talking about overall skepticism and conspiracies and just giving us a few examples without actually any context before it moves on to another subject?
That's about right, Rich.
That sounds about right, Rich, yeah.
I don't think he didn't write a script before he started speaking.
It's just what's coming into their mind, into his mind at the time, and then it comes out the mouth.
Yeah, well, their
in
mouth.
The brain,
yeah, their mouth.
In the brain, out the mouth.
Yeah, their mouth moves, but I don't know when the brain catches up.
In fact, I think he engages his mouth before he engages his brain.
Yeah, that's more or less what I was trying to say. Yeah.
If he says breathe in between a number of words, like at a full stop, and he actually says breathe, like verbalizes the word breathe, and then continues, and that's sort of what's happening here, I think.
He's probably got a post-it note on his camera saying, "Remember to breathe."
Yeah. In 2, 3, 3.
Okay.
Garages or what? I mean, it's something to stand behind, to use. Why do you think they use the first responder taglines and the hero worship? They cannot present these people as terrorists if they start supporting a district that is asking for a new investigation. Now, we, as the...
Does anyone understand what he's going on about? Because I've completely lost what...
No.
First responders, what?
Yeah, and hero worship. I'm totally lost. If you want to pause it, yeah. Has anyone watched this before now?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you did, Davros.
That's why I have insight into what he's talking about.
So did I. Yeah.
Well, one of us has to be the whatever you call it. Yeah.
The sufferance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is there any? Is it worth knowing some context, or is it worth just going along scratching your heads watching this thing?
It's really just an incoherent jumble of theories that he's strung together in something that sentences and really makes not a lot of sense, like all of his ramblings.
What's the name of the video? What's the title?
I'm open for any better ideas. Let me know.
That doesn't help either. It's like,
well, we have no idea what you're talking about in the first place.
Yeah. I was hoping that the title of the video give some insight as to what is actually going on about it. Apparently not.
The answer. You need to send him a message saying you need to change the title of your ramblings to "I have no idea."
Yeah.
Owning a pet rock would be more coherent than this.
I think we should have had the Rock talking.
Actually, he sounds a bit like a rock falling down the road, you know?
I think it'd be worth suggesting to him, perhaps, like, you know, in the comments that, or ask him the question, has he gone back and watched his own video?
Or has he ever?
Does he watch them before he posts them?
Yeah. You know, I have no better idea. Okay, that's fine. So have a bit of a ramble and carry on. And then go back and watch it and critique yourself and then work out where you could improve your video to make sense.
But just pick one conspiracy and stick to it. Don't try it, because he's going into territory he knows nothing about.
I mean, excuse my ignorance, but I didn't know the raid on Area 51 was conspiracy. Or does he mean just Area 51 in general is a conspiracy?
Yeah, he didn't sort of really... He just said Area 51.
I thought he was talking about the raid on Area 51. I might have just inserted that.
Well, he did mention the raid on Area 51 to start with.
Oh, okay.
But then completely glossed over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
is that a conspiracy, though?
And then went on to fire engines and fire stations or something.
I think that was a joke from somebody, and I think it was sort of to drive some traffic to a website by trying to make something go viral, and I think they succeeded. They succeeded where they didn't intend to succeed, if you follow my...
Yeah.
Guy that actually made the original joke of the Area 51 raid, you know, like he's been all over the American news and stuff. He's making a absolute killing in the merch and never intended it to go as far as it has, if you listen to what he has to say.
When was the due date for that?
The 22nd?
September 20th.
What is significant of that date, or is it just what he picked out?
I think it was just a random one that fell out of his book when he opened it.
With enough notice to sell all the merch, of course.
Oh, that's it. I think someone's actually sat down and done a bit of a business plan and said, oh, well, if I get this stuff made now and then I release this video, well, I might actually make some money here. There's enough flat earthers out there that's going to believe it and want to turn up.
Oh, a bit more brain freeze.
People that finally have someone they can't call a conspiracy.
What'd you do? You had a moment.
Yeah, the person in the adjoining room's trying to get into my room through the adjoining door, you know, like, I think. Maybe they can't find the toilet. I don't know. Or the hidden bedroom, perhaps.
Male or female?
Well, I don't know. The door's locked.
A friend or foe?
I'll go.
Friend or foe?
I'll go out onto my balcony. I'll go out onto my balcony and have a look through the window.
Key should open your side.
I don't have a key, it's a swipe card, but it's an actual deadlock to unlock that door.
Or if the chainsaw cart starts coming through the door or an axe, run.
The camera button for us, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. yeah, that might get you a few views, Terry.
yeah, we need it. Okay.
You're not in the Overview Hotel, are you?
No.
Asking for, and everybody's acting like it's a trap. Do you got something better going on? I mean, are you going to sit around for the next year and wait for the real ID to be issued out so you got a papers please up every time you leave a state?
Is he touching on the sovereign citizen travelling thing, maybe? Or something different? Because I'm not... See, that's the thing that's always left me in the dark with watching another culture's references to how things are. And if they're different to ours, well, you don't understand the problem. If they've got some sort of problem with the government or some sort of conspiracy that they know about more than what we do. Anyway.
I just wonder, is anybody out here to get justice for anything? Or is everybody just out to bitch and say, it'll never work? I understand it's all part of God's plan. But again...
I didn't know he was religious.
Every time anyone brings up something constructive or possibly positive, again, it's good to have, well, they're often called naysayers or...
Yes, Alan?
I think he's old Earth creationist.
Okay.
It's good. Not saying that. But at the same time, are we just going to keep talking about,
I think he's just a damn idiot.
What's going to happen with Area
Well, there
51?
is that.
At the time where we're now suddenly being labeled as conspiracy theorists, potential domestic terrorists, I would think it would be a good thing that there is no way the people we are actually trying to reach are going to view as conspiracy theorists. Are they going to start calling the fire district and saying, you damn conspiracy theorists, you were there. I mean, you're firemen. You know buildings, skyscrapers made of steel don't just burn down. You goddamn conspiracy. I mean, at what point are we we can argue the semantics later. But these people that we are trying to wake up to everything, flat earth, everything, if we can't even get them to wake up to 9/11. So,
I know what his problem is.
Yeah, which people are everybody else that's not a flat earther or a conspiracy theorist?
He's skipped his meds.
Okay, so
ding ding for the win.
The American government just put out the conspiracy law, stating that certain conspiracies are detrimental to the well-being of the public. So they're classified as domestic terrorists because of it, which is things like anti-vaxxers, 9/11 deniers, Sandy Hook deniers, and all that sort of stuff. But he thinks that the flat earth is a part of that new law, which it's not.
Yeah, because flat earth doesn't have a leader. That was something I was listening to on the radio the other night about Because Flat Earth is not a leadership type thing as well. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
because it doesn't have a cult status.
Yeah.
Although, of course, it's very difficult to stop people talking about stuff in America because they have that rather inconvenient First Amendment.
Something to do with talking and speech stuff.
Speech and religion, freedom of. You have to go a very, very long way in the US to go past freedom of speech. A very, very long way indeed.
Is that why they can stand up on a wooden box in the middle of a park and just spout whatever they want?
Pretty much.
Well, there was one of them out the front of Young and Jackson.
Yeah. Pretty much in the US, the limit on freedom of speech is standing up in a packed theatre and shouting fire.
Which is still similar.
No, because that would not be protected speech, because your actions would be to cause panic, and anybody injured in the panic would be your So that would be what they would class as unprotected speech.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of the level you have to go to. Screaming fire in a very crowded public place, so that people are where you would be very easy to foresee that people would get injured and what have you.
So you get injured mentally as well with their rants? Hurt your brain, some of the things they say.
Oh, I know that, but
oh.
I get, okay, some firefighters may be Freemasons. I get it. But how does that make this some diabolical plan already? Here's an idea. We take it over and say, look at these firefighters. We support them. It is the gift from God to get them to stop calling you conspiracy theorists. Because if they continue to call you conspiracy theorists about 9/11 after this, then they are by association calling any firefighter that supports it a conspiracy theorist and potential domestic terrorist. You don't think even the sheep are going to be like, huh? When that one starts rolling out? I mean, if anybody has better suggestions rather than just saying they're all Freemasons, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I might as well just stop, because I'm not just here to have a bitch session constantly. I'm here for justice. A big part of it is for the victims of 9/11. I didn't see never forget as a fucking tagline.
I'm none the wiser with that one.
Yeah, but he keeps saying, well, if nobody's going to listen to me, I'll just go away. But he never goes away.
Yeah, like in one breath, it almost sounds as though he's sort of saying, like, why do we think this is a conspiracy? But then it's like, oh no, hang on. What we need to do is use reverse psychology on them so they don't call us conspiracy theorists. Yeah, I'm confused about what just happened.
That's just a WTF video, that one.
Yeah, it's like, don't be a conspiracy theorist. Get behind them and support them. And somehow that's reverse psychology, so calling you a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, but if his rambling made sense, you'd be able to get behind what he's trying to get you to get behind. But then he goes and fucks it up by saying he doesn't understand.
Yeah, pretty confused about what that was.
Nothing new with Pratt vid.
True. Not that I watch a lot of them, or that I have watched a lot.
Somebody annoys him in that. He'll release about 4 or 5 videos about him in the space of like half a day.
What about Flat Earth Tintin is the complete Flat Earth dim sim? Southern. Who's that? That was from Where's Wally? Might be a change of pace.
Is that Super Rats?
Yeah, I think it is.
Antonio
goes for 5 minutes.
All right, go on, hurt us with this one.
Alright, here we go. Pause. That. And here we go. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to unmute it first.
G'day everybody, Where's Wally here? Well, who likes to see Antonio make a statement and then fall flat on his face? Yes, we all do, don't we? Well, have a listen to this.
Guys, this is it. It's completely finished for them. Completely finished.
Okay, so Antonio claims that it's completely finished, it's all over, but what he didn't do was actually look at the one thing that is causing the problem, and that's camera distortion. Now, he did just skip right over it. Have a listen to this.
Because the argument will be, the software that compiles the photos must have messed up. It's like, nope. A camera, something. It's like, no.
So anyway, BM Furballs, Mr. Cavendish himself, who's going to show everybody that gravity is a thing very soon, he pointed out that, well, perhaps there's a camera distortion going on here. So, of course, what I did is what Antonio didn't do, and I went and found some star trails, ones that are looking at the North Pole. And let's have a look at those. Do they show the same thing? And look, here's one from a flatty, and yes, it does also show exactly the same sort of distortion. And I guess the thing is, look, I'll even show you one of my own, and it also shows the same sort of distortion. Now, what these all have in common is that the center of the camera is not lined up with the center of rotation. So it's like a barrel distortion or something like that. I guess some camera aficionado will probably know exactly what's going on here. So then if you do find a camera star trail, and here's one from Movie Vertigo, and I believe he's in the UK, and it is nicely lined up, and there is no distortion on this one. So there you go, Antonio. So now I guess what we need to do is look at one at the South Pole, and who better to look directly up at the South Pole than my old mate Robert Schwartz, who I think this...
I'll have to pause it there. I have to ask Alan about the distortion. What do you mean? Is he talking about the first image of the building where it was distorted on the edges?
Yeah. The first image showed it like distortion, regardless of whether the image was showing any barrel distortion or not, because you can get very wide angle images that still project without barrel distortion. But when you get very close to something, you will see lots of perspective distortion, because obviously the things that are closest to you will appear much bigger than the things that are further away. And if you can just quickly flip back over to the Discord display, I can show you examples of it. He says, trying to find the image.
Oh, we've got Leah lurking.
Yeah.
Right. So that is that's a very wide angle image of a building. And yet there is no barrel distortion, because that was stitched from about 15 individual photographs, some of which I can also post and show that they are indeed correct linear projections onto the sensor. As you can see, there is no real obvious distortions in any of these 4 shots.
But when you put them all together,
when you put them all together,
they give you that.
You see that you see an image with very profound perspective distortion, just because of the angle of view. Now, Canon make the widest angle lens that doesn't that is not a fisheye, so it still has correct planar projection onto the screen, and that's an 11mm focal length, and it is really wide. And if you get really close to an object with it, you get huge amounts of perspective distortion. You stand in front of a building and you point it up ever so slightly, you will get horrendous keystoning. You point it downwards, you get tombstoning. It's all very, very easy to induce perspective effects, because one part of the subject is much closer to you than another part of the subject, and that is what I think is actually going on in the first image. But there is also some small amount of barrel distortion that you see in the majority of lenses, especially if they're fairly cheap. So they will tend to make things, they will tend to either push lines out towards the edge or away from the center, or they will maybe do pincushion distortion and bend lines in towards the center of the building.
So in that image with the apartment building,
Yeah,
that's
with the image in that apartment building, the camera is tilted back so that you see the top of the building. So it's at an angle, which is why you see the sections where the windows are further up, are wider at the bottom than they are at the top. And just like in the one I've posted above, in fact, I was very, very careful when I set the camera up on the tripod to take that panorama, to take the series of images for the panorama. I was very careful to ensure that the camera back was vertical and the tripod was correctly leveled, so that as I rotated it, it correctly rotated. It rotated horizontally, so that there was there's no effects like you see in that image from having the camera tilted back and then looking to your left along the building and then looking to your right along the building, which is what that image does, because it is a fairly close but very wide image that may well have been done by stitching the image together like I did, rather than with a very wide angle lens. But I don't think there's a wide enough angle lens out there to do that. I would assume. My first instinct is that photograph of that building is a composite of several photographs. But that's an opinion. It's not. I won't state it as fact.
I forgot where we were up to. Oh shit. I think we're up to there. That's it. Right, here we go.
Lined up, and there is no distortion on this one. So there you go, Antonio. So now I guess what we need to do is look at one at the South Pole, and who better to look directly up at the South Pole than my old mate Robert Schwartz, who I think must be his 14th or 15th winter over down at the South Pole. Well, here's one from him, and it's pointing straight up. See that little sign down in the bottom? That says South Pole, guys. So, Antonio, the globe Earth is well and truly safe. You've proved nothing yet again, and you've fallen flat on your flat face. So, Antonio, knowing that you made such a big claim about this killing the globe Earth, and knowing that it was actually just a camera problem and not anything to do with reality, it was your observation that failed. Oh yes, and a big shout out to No Fanfare for helping me sort this out, mate. You've done well. We worked out that it was just the camera distortion all along, and yes, your method for showing that up worked really well, but it wasn't reality that was the problem. Antonio got all excited as we saw, but poor Antonio, he got it wrong yet again. So what I'll do now is I'll just mirror in here Robert's beautiful video, and you can just all stare up, mesmerized at the straight up or straight down at the South Celestial Pole as it rotates beautifully in circles above us. Enjoy, folks. Particularly thinking how Antonio's feeling right about now. He'll probably go and find a feather and put a steel rod in it.
They're showing nice clean circles. I only looked a complete dim.
I think maybe we should have seen that actual video that he was talking about, but I'd have to find
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I think we'll have to find that.
But I've never heard of that Where's Wally guy, so...
does anyone want to actually see the video that Subrats did of that, and we can find it and see what he was talking about in the first place?
Yeah, we could do. No, Where's Wally's has been around, and he helped out Blake with his Cavendish by sending him most of the electronics that he's using for the sensors.
Yeah, it was a good vid. Yeah, surprised I haven't heard of him.
He's done the old YouTube of water, and he's sighted down some spirit levels. While on top at the ocean, either side of on a cliff top somewhere. I get the feeling he's up in Queensland because I think I recognise the names of some of the places he's been to as being kind of like near Flat Earth Aussie Jesus, even near the eastern point of Australia.
There you go.
Speaking of going, I have to disappear, gentlemen. It's been fun. But I have to be up early in the morning.
Me too.
No worries, guys.
I've had 2 days on the shovel and 1 day on the floor scraper. I feel
That sounds like a whinge, mate.
It's not a whinge, I'm just old. The back's feeling it.
No worries.
I'm going to say, shouldn't I be the one whinging?
Are you talking about your age or where you're from? Or both?
Well, you know, whinging Pom.
No, you're all right so far. You haven't brought up the cricket.
I'm back.
Thanks, Tez. I'll catch you around, mate.
Right, I was.
See you all.
So are we watching the original source video of...
We could do that.
Terry.
What?
Sean G's naked in chat.
Oh, we can't have that. We can't have that. I don't like, especially a Sean G being naked. That's terrible and disturbing at the same time.
I don't like Sean G being naked.
What? I can't even read what he says. Something I was. Speak English.
No, he was. I was, though.
English. No, he was. I was, though.
Aussie Baller, I think we're hearing the stream through your microphone.
Yeah, I was thinking I heard a double echo that time. I think it came through Terry's first and then Aussie's second.
Yeah, it's not me this time.
Me.
Not me this time.
Yeah, forgot to mute it again. Just filling up that empty void of nothingness that normally happens.
Yeah, feedback loop.
I'm trying to figure out how to find that. How do I do that?
Well, just search Subarats and find his latest video.
Yeah, but you don't want to watch me doing stuff on the screen. So
Well, no, yeah, but you do that. You do that while we're not looking at this. If you switch it back to the other one, so that we're looking at the Discord page, then you can play around in the actual. You can play around in
G'day.
Google, can't you? In the Google thing.
Is that it?
No, that's.
That's Wally.
In TechDoc vids?
yeah. Okay. I'll have a look.
That's it. Leave it there, and we'll
play the beta first on PS4.
Yeah, pause. How long does it go for? It goes for 55 minutes.
Oh, well, in that case, maybe we don't want to look at
it. Maybe we look at it offline and come back to it.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit. I think it might need editing to get out the bits we need. I haven't got that control to do that.
Yeah, I didn't even look at how long it was when I
was just
search for it.
I just skipped through it and
55 minutes. That's a crime against humanity.
It's not 55 minutes because it's not actually. He's actually released another, which is the 55 minutes. Globling accidentally destroys the globe. One.
That's even worse. What?
And that's the second one, because he's also got one called Globling accidentally destroys the globe, which is 59 minutes and 38 seconds as well.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah, hang on. Ain't more.
Why does it take so long to try to debunk the globe?
How does this guy have time to go to work and stuff?
I stretched mine out to 12 minutes to debunk flat Earth.
Yeah, I think the one that Wally was looking at was probably the 1 hour 43 minute one, because I recognised the Star Trails images that are on it. So
you might be right. Well, Wally did
that's
well
probably
to just cut. Well, I guess it goes to show there's probably not that much in an hour and 43 minutes of Subarats worth looking at.
Yeah, he just picked that bit. Yeah, but I just wanted to see it in context of what he was getting at, how that got brought up in his video, in Subarat's video, that is.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I can see where Wally was coming from.
well, he's obviously picked up that the star trails are obviously not perfectly circular, because if a lens has got a little barrel distortion or whatever, and you don't exactly center the axis of rotation in the center of the viewfinder, you will get some distortion as it goes as they go around, because they're going to cross they're going to effectively cross the distortion, and the lines will get distorted as they go round. Because there's one place when using a fully circular fisheye lens is really good, and that surprisingly is taking photographs of the interior of aircraft.
Yes.
Because they're circular. So you actually get a very, especially they're especially good for cockpit shots, because you get to see the whole of the cockpit and it doesn't look distorted, as long as you center everything up correctly, so that the axis of the lens is looking down the axis of the fuselage. it's one of the bits of getting nice looking photographs, sales brochures.
It looks like we're not going to get any more Subarats then.
I don't think we want any more Subarats.
Have we got anything else on the list left? I think that was it. Calling out Nathan and Quantum Eraser. Which Nathan would he be talking about? Quantum Eraser.
I assume Oakley.
Well, yeah, too many Nathan. Too many Nathan.
Yeah, too many Nathan.
Yeah, but I mean Nathan Thompson isn't. Doesn't usually go hand in hand with QE though.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who QE was. Who QE went hand in hand with.
Yeah, Oakley.
Ah.
I think that's just going to be Bob talking.
From North Michigan.
Northern Michigan.
Oh, wherever.
I think we'd be safe watching that. How long's it go for? 11 minutes? Yeah. I'll get rid of him. Get rid of him. Oh shit, how do I do that? Yeah, that's it. Oh, here we go. See what this is all about.
For the last 8 months, I've tried to put together a good flat Earth debunking channel and put out some general science in the process. And that's attracted some attention in the flat Earth community, apparently. Especially from this gentleman right here, Nathan Oakley. He and his friend Quantum Eraser like to do episodes on me, saying that they toe tagged me, and that's all in good fun. When I look at them, if I do, I generally get a smile out of them. Now, Blue Marble Science has looked at a couple of these. I've done an episode where we looked at Quantum Eraser's citations and how we misrepresented them. And it generally results in something like this. So, I'm going to go ahead and put out a friendly challenge to Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser. You see, Nathan, you start off every one of your shows with something that you call the housekeeping. And this is a series of questions that you ask all your guests and get the answers that you expect because you exclude anybody that actually knows anything about these from appearing on your channel, myself included. My comments don't even show up. So, I'm going to go through each one of these housekeeping items. You get to pick whatever one you want, and you and Quantum Eraser can come to my channel and debate me on it. Now, just to show how easy it is to answer your housekeeping items, let's go through them one at a time real quick. Well, Nathan's first question is always, are there any signs of curvature? Well, in order to answer that question, we have to decide what would be a sign of curvature. Let's go over a couple of them. Well, one of the first things that we have to do to decide if we are on a flat plane or a curved surface is look at the laws of perspective. Now, under the laws of perspective, everything that is below my eye level will rise up to that red line. Everything that is above that eye level will drop down to that red line, and it will meet in the middle at my eye level. On a flat plane, that's what the horizon would look like to us. On a curved surface, that horizon would drop below our eye level. So we're going to see which happens on Earth. Next, we're going to have a look at some basic geometry. On a flat surface, the interior angles of a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. If the Earth is a flat surface, we draw a triangular course on the Earth. The interior angles of that will add up to 180 degrees. If they don't add up to 180 degrees, the Earth is not flat. It's curved. Now, looking at distant objects, if they follow the rules of perspective on a flat plane, they will simply get smaller in a straight line as they get further away from you. That none of those lines are curved there. However, if you look down here, you'll see that on a curved surface, the bottom of an object that is distant will be hidden, whereas we can still see the top. It won't just simply shrink down to nothing. Now, just to form a little montage, we have a couple of things right here. First, we see in the middle a water level and a level. The horizon is clearly dropping below our eye level. That suggests a curved surface rather than a flat surface. And you can tell that that's not going off into the distance because you can see the water line at those islands in the foreground. Number two, we have a course between JFK in New York, LAX in Los Angeles, and Ted Stephenson Airport in Anchorage, Alaska, which forms a triangle, yet the interior angles of that triangle add up to 205 degrees, which cannot occur on a flat plane. On top, we have the bottom part.
Well, I think I need Rich to explain that one. Or not?
Sorry, I was watching YouTube delayed. Well, this was the who was it? Hang on, I better mute that. It was a flat earther that put the challenge out that Wolfie and a couple of other people met.
MC Toon. Flat out hero.
Oh yes, flat out hero. That's him.
Yeah, flat out hero. Because even the 180 went from the pole down to the equator 90 degrees, 90 degrees. You know, they're all 90-degree angles, but they make a triangle. So the maths don't add up. And that's geometry, right?
Basic geometry. It's not Euclidean anymore.
Yes, that's right.
Because Euclid only worked on flat planes.
Which is still fine as well, though, you know.
Oh, yeah.
For your small scale stuff.
Okay.
Of mountains disappearing.
There's probably not
too
much more I can
below
add
the horizon.
In that,
he's not going to be happy. He's not going to be happy. He's not, and obviously, a flurfer is not going to be happy that the lines connecting the airports are not on that particular piece of flat map. They are not straight lines.
No, they don't.
Because they are
like that either. Yeah.
Because they
great
are
circle conundrum.
Yeah, they're great circles. And some maps are better than others at showing great circles.
Okay. We'll have to talk about that one in depth another time.
Horizon. This is not perspective. This is obstruction.
It's quite good because you can put them on Google Earth and spin them around.
Yeah.
And turn it into a straight line. It's quite fun.
We have an actual photograph of the curvature taken by J. Dolan Media 1. The next question is there any proof of gravity? Well, the fact that there is a downward acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared all over the Earth with minor variations is not in question. It's measurable. The question becomes what's causing that. There have been suggestions that perhaps the Earth is accelerating upward at 9.81 meters per second squared. This is ludicrous because we would exceed the speed of light in a relatively short order. Next, there's a question of density, not buoyancy, but density. Well, density does not contain an acceleration, and that, of course, can be dismissed out of hand as well. Now, buoyancy, on the other hand, does contain an acceleration, which it gets from the force of gravity. So, what experiments could we do to evaluate whether or not gravity actually exists? Well, one is the Cavendish experiment, of course, which demonstrated that mass attracts mass. The second would be Eddington in 1919, who demonstrated that light could be bent by proximity to a massive object. And finally, we have the density column, which relies on buoyancy to separate out liquids. Now, the way that you would...
we could fall in a ditch and break our legs.
Determine this is due to a gravitational attraction, or a force of gravity, as Newton would say, is that you can put the density tower in an environment that is not undergoing that same acceleration. And two examples of that, of course, would be a parabolic flight in an aircraft and in space, for example, at the International Space Station, which is in orbit around the Earth. And that can easily demonstrate that a density column will not separate out. Even something as simple as whether or not bubbles rise in water is dependent on buoyancy and the force of gravity, and if you take the gravity away, bubbles don't rise. The next question is actually a little more challenging than the first two, and that is there any proof of the distance to the sun? Well, yes, we've actually sent probes there, and we checked the odometer on them. But when you're dealing with an object that is as distant from us as the sun, we certainly cannot put a yardstick out, and there are no tape measures that are long enough. We have to calculate that distance by using triangulation or other forms of trigonometry. Now, for example, I have a flagpole in my backyard. I know that if I set a 45-degree angle up on the ground, and the top of that points to the top of the flagpole, and the bottom of it points to the base of the flagpole, and it's 45 degrees, I know however far it is from that triangle to the base of the flagpole equals how high the flagpole is. That's simple trigonometry.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that's how that worked. How it, at 45-degree angle, didn't say how big it was. Doesn't matter.
If you have a triangle with 90 degrees in one corner and 45 degrees in the other, you have to have 45 degrees in the third corner to make up. And it's the triangle with the two short sides are going to be unit length, and the third side is going to be the length of the third side will be square root of 2. But if you've got 45 degrees, you know that the length on the ground is the same as the length in the air.
Oh, okay.
In his flagpole example, because for a 45-degree angle with a right angle triangle, both the short sides have to be the same length.
Right.
It's one of the normal identities of right angle triangles. So
you could do that with a tree or anything if you didn't know how tall it was.
Yeah, as long as you're level with the base and you're up 45 degrees, your distance from the base will be the same as the distance to the top.
Wow, it's amazing how math works,
isn't it?
The one thing that does my head in is how flat earthers, any proof of this, any proof of that. They're always calling for 100% proof of everything. Well, we can't prove something 100%. But hey, here's this mountain of evidence, and they still reject it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I had one of them going at me the other day. Well, yeah, because I have measured curve over a circular area with a radius of about 450 kilometers. You know, but that's only a very small percent of the surface. Yeah, but you know, I know other people who've done it over other bits of it, and it all seems to roughly it all just seems to come together, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's similar to radio wave propagation, and like you talk about with radar and things like that, and the expected range that you're going to get at various elevations.
Yeah.
Why put a radar
yeah,
on the top of a hill?
Yeah. Yeah, hell, yeah. Why is the radar at Saxonwood in the northern? Why is that on the mountain 2,500 feet above sea level, when they could have made it just as easily? Well, actually, no, they couldn't have made it just as easily at nearer sea level, because it just so happens that the north end of the island happens to be the mountain, so that helps as well when you're mostly looking for stuff coming from the north that's come around the North Cape from Murmansk.
But I guess in similar contexts, the logistics generally to put a radar facility on the top of a hill is pretty significant. When you're just looking out over water, so just chuck it on the beach.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the issues with the radar on top of the mountain at Saxonwood was they had a bit of a storm one night, and one of the radars got blown because it wasn't in a geodesic dome.
In World War II, whenever it was around near that era where they had those big cement things on the coast for picking up sound, is it because if we're on a flat Earth, would they have been any more efficient, or is it because of they had to go around the curve a bit to pick up something, or was it something else?
Well, again, sound travels in sound. Sound would like to propagate in straight line. However, it is also inverse square, and it's very because the speed of propagation is very easy to change with density. It's really all the things that cause light refraction in air will also cause refraction of sound, because
but what I'm getting at is the efficiency of what they were back then. I know they changed the type of.
It was us typical Brits covering our asses and having multiple layers of defence, and all that information, the radar, the sound listening posts, the observer corps with their effectively optical posts where lookout posts where they're using binoculars and the like, and optical instruments to locate where the position of the raids. All of that information was all fed back through an integrated system to fighter command, and then disseminated out back to the groups and the sectors, and all that information could be interchanged at all the different levels, and that's what made the RAF such an efficient force during the Battle of Britain.
So if it was a flat plane at you were using, if we're on a flat plane for those systems.
Oh, it would make life much easier for all the systems. For radar, I mean, most radar systems point up a bit. The one I'm most familiar, the ones I'm most familiar with, pointed up at 0.5 degree. So if the bottom of the beam points up at 0.5 degree, at 300 kilometers on a flat plane, I should see a target. I should see any target that is above 2,800 meters.
Well,
but in reality, for a target at 300 kilometers, it has to be above 10,000 meters. And I don't think it really matters. Even if there's a bit of refraction going on. And remember, because of the wavelength of the radar that we're using, refraction is minimized, especially compared with visible light. Not being able to see targets below that 10,000 meters, expected 10,000 meters, if we are on a curve, the accepted radius of about 6,300 kilometers.
So in other words, we would have been able to see the enemy planes coming a lot earlier than if we were on a flat plane than what we would have been on that we are on a curve.
Yes.
Well, that would have been advantages in the wartime.
Why do you think AWACS systems are now so important? Because there's virtually no point in ground anymore when we can put a radar on an aeroplane and fly it at 10,000 meters. Because all of a sudden your radar horizon is
a lot further. Yeah.
Way further away. In fact, you get to is so far away that your radar is probably not actually reaching its radar horizon.
So if Flurfus not trying to explain to them how radar works on a curved compared if it was flat, they
like I said, I explained all this to a Flurfer, and they went, well, it was only but you could, because I said I had to do calibration checks on the radar, and just being told, well, you only looked at an area that had a radius of 300 kilometers then, or 450 kilometers. Yes, but I had people that I knew who were based on radars all over the UK and in Northern Ireland and in Cyprus, and there are similar radar operators operating in almost all countries with an air force, and they all find exactly the same results. That the surface that they're looking at is curved. It would appear to be curved with a radius of about 6,300 kilometers. It could be a flat plane with a bulge in it or something, but it'd have to be a very big bulge. And also remember that the water is sitting on that bulge and not running, because we're mostly looking out over the North Sea where I am. And interestingly, all the military radars seem to be all the ground-based military radars all seem to be based around the coast of various different countries. I'm not really quite sure why.
Okay.
Now, another way that we can do it is, say I've got the base of my flagpole in the backyard. I don't know how far it is from me, but I do know that there's a softball.
And we have hard radar. for the distance to the Moon and Venus.
In my yard, and that softball is 1/2 the distance between me and the flagpole. If I can measure the distance to the softball, I know how far it is to the flagpole. So let's see how we did that. Now, in order to measure the distance to the sun, we have to make a couple of decisions first. The primary decision is the sun nearby or is it very far away? One of the ways that they could determine whether or not the sun was nearby or very far away was looking at the rays of the sunlight coming at the Earth. If the sun was nearby, those rays would diverge like any other local light source on Earth. However, if the sun was very far away, those rays of light would come nearly parallel. Based on a number of experiments, it was determined that the sunlight was arriving in parallel, and people like Eratosthenes used this to try and determine the size of the Earth. Now, another decision that they had to make was we had the Earth.
Isn't that where crepuscular rays and all that come into it too? Is that something else to do with the sun's rays?
Oh, that's more perspective, because the rays are almost parallel. So by perspective, parallel lines appear to converge or diverge. So, yeah.
But if the sun was a lot closer, wouldn't that make a difference to the
They'd
rays?
always be crepuscular. Crepuscular.
Okay.
I can't even say it.
Crepuscular?
Crepuscular. I don't know. Them ones. Thank you. Yeah.
Who's the crepuscular guy? Okay.
And then we had the moon.
I think Rich is the one for the photos of crepuscular.
Yeah.
Oh, the anti ones. Oh, yeah, I've got a couple of crepuscular, actually.
Not part of the Earth. So therefore, it has to be some distance away.
Not a lot. I mean, I don't take
now,
a lot of photos.
Aristarchus...
My problem.
Now, can anyone explain the diagram? Otherwise, we'll let Bob explain it. Aristarchus.
Aristarchus?
Yeah.
I'm not overly familiar, but I assume Bob will explain pretty well as Trig.
Came up with the idea that if the moon was a half moon, it was at 90 degrees to the sun. If he could measure the degree to the sun from Earth at the same time, he may be able to form some sort of a triangle between the Earth, the sun, the moon, and back to the Earth. Now, he didn't know the distance to the moon, but he could estimate the distance from the Earth to the sun in distances from the Earth to the moon. So when he originally did this, he came up with the sun was about 40 times as far from the Earth as the moon is. In reality, that's a little closer to 385 times the distance of one lunar orbit is the distance to the sun. With the development of Kepler's laws of planetary motion and better telescopes, we were able to use the transit of Venus across the surface of the sun, observed from two distant locations on Earth with a known distance between them. This resulted in an astronomical unit, or the distance from the Earth to the Sun, within 1% of the currently accepted value. Now, while the distance to the Sun was accurately determined in the time of Captain Cook, we've subsequently gotten some more direct measurements. For example, we know the exact distance to the Moon now. We've radar imaged it, and we've also bounced lasers off of it. We have radar imaged the distance from the Earth to the planet Venus, so we know that distance for a fact now as well. And using those combined with the transit of Venus, we have a very accurate determination of how far it is to the Sun. Well, that's about it for part one. In part two, we're going to go over gas pressure without a container, evidence for a molten iron core to the Earth, and evidence of axial rotation. So, in the meantime, do me a favor, hit that little like and subscribe.
Oh.
Oh, we don't need to go to the end of it.
I must say, Bob's videos are improving.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I first met Bob over in 24/7 when he first came in. That was, yeah, it was an interesting interaction. And then obviously when he came across the gems and stuff, but yeah, I might have to start watching more of his videos.
No, I like all the math stuff, but I'd have to learn math a bit more to understand it better. For how they get all these measurements to things. But once you know that 2 + 2 = 4, why doesn't flat earthers go with the other math that's explained to them or told to them?
Because the Earth has to be stationary for them. They don't understand parallax.
Well, that means that to them 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4.
At extreme levels or values of 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, math is just a construct.
Man-made?
Correct.
Yeah, what is it?
2
plus
get
2 equals
two
5.
potatoes and 2 potatoes, put them together, and regardless of what we call them, I still have what we say 4 potatoes.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But if you had 2 potatoes and I took 4 away from you, that means you still owe me 2 potatoes.
no, that would make you a thief. and I don't know where you found the other potato.
Under the bed.
You found the stash.
I think it's if you had 2 potatoes and I did you would owe me for 2 potatoes.
But if you took 4 potatoes, even though I only had 2 potatoes, Terry, would I have then negative 2 potatoes? Because I only had 2 potatoes to begin with. It almost sounds like an analogous to negative pressure, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm feeling the squeeze now.
What a segue that was.
It's the friggin' number line. The number line is great, although we can make life we can really bugger around, and then we can introduce complex bloody numbers on the on an axis that is at 90 degrees to the standard number line.
Yeah, we need the crickets.
Or maybe even
No.
a herd of dells.
It needs to be longer.
What needs to be longer?
The herd of dells? Really?
The bit at the end. You cut off too short. It goes no instead of the no.
Oh, we want to.
I think that might have been
I missed
cutting out.
I can't even hit the right flip.
Somebody send Sal Allen some post-it notes.
I think it did actually cut off.
Oh, well,
It does cut off the fade, I think.
You're cutting out a little bit too. You got to go and feed your meter.
I think other people are using the internet today as well. I really need to get an Ethernet connection so that I can turn off the Wi-Fi when I'm doing this.
Oh, that's about it then. I've run out of videos.
No.
Don't panic! Don't panic!
Don't panic! Don't panic!
Cannot be.
That's not a knife. That's a...
Yeah, everything's been cut short.
God, I feel so good. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Poor Donald Duck.
Yeah.
I think the question is, who's Donald's daddy, though?
Yeah. I don't know. And who's his brother? Because obviously Donald doesn't have children, but he has nephews.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
How are they related? How are they related?
Oh, so it's a rabbit hole.
Well, I suppose, yeah, he could have a sister.
I've got to wage Underworld one with a Phuket word. Gets balls slapped by Where's Wally. Goes for 14 minutes. So I don't know what that one was about. That one there.
So you got it straight away. You got a 20% speed gain by owning.
We'll watch this one and see what it's about. I'll have to remember all these videos to put in.
I want to put it in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose we could probably assist with that.
How? How do you assist?
Like, by reminding you.
Oh yes. Well, that's what I'm gonna. That's what I'll be doing when we end this. When we end the stream.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of homework to do afterwards. Takes a long time to set this up before we start.
Are you having a whinge, Terry?
No. Here we go. We'll see what this one's about. Phuket word.
G'day everybody, where's Wally here? Well, today Nick just went and did a dumb thing again and said that Himawari 8 is pointless. Well, no, it's fantastic. It blows away flat Earth every single day, every single time you see an image, and let me tell you why. Nick, almost everything you said about it was wrong.
Whatever. Here's an image of part of the Earth that we can see on the Himawari website. The Himawari is supposedly a satellite that is in geostationary orbit and sending photographs of the Earth to us every 10 minutes or so. Of critical thinking and analysis, this Earth image that we have supposedly suspended in space, which really should be a glorious background of luminaries and stars and all kinds of things. But of course, we do not see anything of the sort.
Is he writing saying we're suspended?
Stop.
Yeah, I am stopping, because I was asking a question.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we see the stars?
Ah,
yeah, that old chest.
That old chestnut. I think I got an idea because I've been learning this stuff.
Exposure.
Ah, that's what I was going to say, something like that.
Because imagine how overly exposed the Earth would be if, to especially the brightness of the tops of the clouds. If you were to see stars in the background, it'd just be a mess.
Yeah, I mean it'd be like taking a photograph of the moon with stars in the background, wouldn't it? From Earth.
Yeah.
Or the sun.
Very similar.
There is only one time that you can take photos of the moon with stars showing in the background.
An eclipse.
At totality, at the point of totality of a lunar eclipse.
Hey, I was right.
I don't know if you might just. I don't know. I don't know whether you might just get away with it at totality on a solar eclipse. Because, but I wouldn't have thought so because generally the really that gonna fit over the moon, over the sun, and you'd want to expose for the corona, wouldn't you? And the
But isn't that how they worked out some of the bending of space time? Was during a solar eclipse, where they were able to observe a star that's behind the sun.
Yes. So you would be able to. Yeah, sorry, I was kind of thinking general photography with a camera.
Hey, Spells, how do you see a star behind the sun?
Specialist stuff. Gravitational lensing. That was how they showed strong evidence for Einstein's space-time special, relativity stuff.
Time drag. It was the bending of light,
which has no mass.
But it's in the construct of space.
The construct, yeah.
Space is like the backdrop on a stage.
It's just a man-made
Can't get
construct.
away from it. It's always there.
I thought that something was going to come up about the coastal lines that they put in on Himalaya for a second.
That one.
Oh, sorry, you start the video. It's okay.
No, I just went straight to what you were just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pause it on it.
Yeah, because I know I've had arguments with people. They're like, what's that?
Whatever.
There we go.
It's obviously CGI. What's that there for? Well, if you're using it for weather, large weather systems that are covering an entire country or whatever, it's probably nice to know where the coastlines are.
Do I need to play crickets again?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have too much to say about the coastlines, except for what I said.
Well, yeah, the coastline and countries' borders are a useful thing to display, aren't they?
Yeah, especially when there's, as I was saying, a large amount of cloud cover, and you can't actually see where, the ground underneath the clouds. When you're using it for meteorological reasons.
Indeed. Is Terry pushing the play button?
No, he said he'll be back, and I'm just wondering if he thought we were going to have a long, in-depth discussion while he goes for a cigarette or something.
Ah, right. Maybe I wrinkled. Maybe the missus wanted something.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and of course they're going to complain that it exposes by moving the filter over the sensor and taking multiple exposures rather than using a Bayer filter on the sensor itself. But yeah, multiple color filters make more sense, don't they? Because you get higher resolution.
Oh, of course. But then, I mean, how many infrared levels does it have as well, you know?
I think it's actually got
7 or something?
3. Yeah, it might. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got a couple of UV.
Yeah, I might have a look.
I think it's sensitive both ways.
Yeah, but I think that's a different camera. I think it's got a couple of cameras on board. I'm not totally across Himawari or
or any of them. There's too many to keep up with, isn't there?
Mm.
What with the Americans having Epic, a couple of others, and of course NASA's put up a couple of satellites that cover a fair bit of the globe that do the same job as Himawari.
Well, the thing they keep avoiding is that Himawari and, for Australia particularly, it's taken, you can match it with what's going on. And it's even being used and to pick up bushfires and like location of large bushfires and things like that. I'll see if I can find one from the ABC, being the dry season where I'm from up in Darwin. Just a line of brush fire going through from a satellite.
They found that one in Mongolia, didn't they? They spotted that one in Mongolia.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And were able to actually alert the local authorities that there was a problem before they even knew anything about it.
Fucking hell, he's burnt your picture.
Oop, Terry's back. Stop talking about it.
Yeah, I'm back now.
Carry on as you were.
Now, people will often excuse this lack of stars because of things like camera exposure. But this is 2019.
Sorry.
Okay, when you're talking about...
Rosie criticised...
You keep cutting out.
That's probably a good thing right this moment.
Stars in the background, well, that's just silly because, well, guess what? When you want to scan the whole disk of the Earth, if you scan the whole rectangle that forms the frame, if you scan the circle, it's 21% less. So you got it straight away, you got a 20% speed gain by only scanning the disk that you need. And remember, this is a weather satellite, only interested in weather. It's been paid for by people with weather. They don't want to look at the stars. They want to see the weather. So that is why. And there's a brilliant video here, and I'll cut a few pieces in here from Scott Manley, and he shows exactly how these cameras work and the scan schedules on the GEOS 8 ones, I think, or GEOS cameras where they're setting them up for America, doing pretty much the same thing. So do a bit of research, open some tabs, Nick.
Whatever. Whether there are meteorites or asteroids or what have you, or even the moon, perhaps. That would be something that we could also see if this satellite is far enough away from the Earth.
Wait a minute. If he's saying Himawari's closer to the Earth than the Moon. So you're not going to see the Moon.
That's Discover.
Oh, okay.
City
You'll see it
lights.
says, okay, sorry, Discover Epic Camera across the top.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But that's Himawari.
Yeah.
We see no city.
And when you're talking about can't see lights at night, well, when Starman, this is the Elon Musk's Tesla, was launched, it was at 5,000 kilometres up, so it was a lot closer than the million kilometres that Himawari 8 is away. When it was passing through behind the darkness of South Africa that one night, it was able to see some thunderstorms nicely lighting up in the background. So you can see these things from space if you've got the right camera at the right lighting conditions at the right time, pointing in the right direction.
Whatever. So better to be left out rather than be caught out. And you can apply this way of thinking to all sorts of other things, such as the photographs of the moon or.
Well, Nick, there's plenty of things that just pop up on Himawari that they don't plan for. There's dust clouds, there's bushfires. You often see little puffers of.
Did you see the shadow from the sun on that one? That one? You can see shadowing. I thought it was. I thought it was a shadow from the cloud.
I was just having a bit of chuckle how Wally, when he does his little, fast forward or rewind or whatever, how it always starts off. We're going whatever, and then. I thought that was pretty funny.
Whatever.
Or there's dust clouds.
Parallel
there's,
shadows, which I'm sure Wally's just about to talk about.
Well, I was looking at them.
Bushfires. You often see little puffers of smoke. Popping up here and there, little smoke trails. And then there was this beautiful one of the big flood up north where the clouds parted early in the morning and the whole countryside for thousands of acres, areas bigger than the size of Thailand, were covered in water. No one planned for that, didn't know it was going to happen, yet it all showed up nice and perfectly cromulent on Himawari 8.
Whatever.
Well, Nick,
whatever.
It's not actually an image, it's a scan built up over 10 minutes, but if you've watched the previous video that I linked you to, you will know that now. And, of course, the one thing that you didn't do that everybody else does that wants to...
What's that?
Just the whatever bit.
Himawari 8 is real and truthful, is compare it to something you see real time. Now, Wade's Underworld does this all the time, and I do it all the time, and we make a bit of a running joke of it every time we...
Well, I did this myself one time. I checked what Himawari was actually filming at the time, and then I went to weather.com that I have, and I checked its forecasts and what they were saying, and it's the same image. So they're using the same image from Himawari for the weather zone.
More than likely, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And they said the rain was coming like a storm or cloud something, and then a little bit later we got it. They were predicting it going by the satellite.
Because essentially all, for the satellite images that we get, or that we use now, are all Himawari just for the detail. Before that it was Geos, whatever the early satellite was, which was hugely pixelated. It was essentially, on the ABC when there was nothing playing, and instead of a test screen, they might put up a satellite image. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We see something from
Himawari is
space.
just amazing, the amount of detail.
While high in the sky, we quick grab a Himawari 8 image to validate it and verify it. And here, look, I've even got, because I know what you're going to say next, it's built from radar images of weather stuff, which is total rubbish, because what it often picks up is things like crepuscular ray shadows. Have you seen those, Nick? Here's a couple. And these things are very ephemeral. They pop up real quick and they're gone again. But you can see them quite plainly from the ground, and you can actually see them from the Himawari 8. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, mate. And then also on my channel last few months, I even went and looked at the floodwaters. There was a huge flood in North Queensland, which flooded all the way down through the Murray-Darling Basin and ended up in Lake Eyre. And I tracked that floodwater via the Himawari 8, and you could see it going all the way down through the river systems.
Well, Bandy'd be happy about that because he wants to go to Lake Eyre and do his curvature test. We know there's water there.
So, no weather radars.
But wasn't he talking about doing it when there was no water in it?
No, he wants to do it. It has to have water in it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I was just thinking Lake Eyre is quite often dry, right?
Yeah, well, it's wet. It's got some water in it at the moment.
Picking that up, mate.
So it looks. I mean, who's proven that? Have you been there?
Oh, okay. I do follow this aerial flights, tourist flight people that put out images and periodic updates of what's going on down there because the tourists like to fly around down there.
So again,
so what they're doing, they're taking the tourist cameras from the photos from social media, stitching those together to give you an apparent satellite image. That's what's happening.
Oh, okay.
What we don't see.
Now, of course, you're asserting that these things could be fake.
I mean, I know we have some good programs for stitching images, but I didn't realise they'd got that.
Well, NASA's lying to you.
Oh, of course it is.
Yes.
But you're committing the argument from Antonio Subarats here. You're saying maybe, but you're presenting absolutely no proof. If you're going to say it's being fake, you simply must do the next step and prove that it's being faked. Otherwise, you're just waffling.
And recreate this imagery of very realistic looking clouds. I mean, this has been done on TV since, I don't know, the 1980s, for example. At least 20 years or so, local news stations have been able to put together weather radar looking at real clouds. To collate all this data from weather balloons, easily process the image in milliseconds, simply recreating these cloud formations in something fairly close to real time is, it's not beyond the technical capabilities of computer imagery these days. So that's another thing to consider. Now,
I wonder if he's referring to the early images that they were using for the Earth, where they did admit that they actually put clouds on it to make the image look more presentable.
Well, I mean, and NASA said, well, they're composites because they had to be because they were from the where low Earth orbit, they had to stitch all these composite images together. It's not a satellite in geostationary orbit, significantly further away than what the space shuttle was. Not only was it, just mapping the globe, it was also taking radar terrain images, which we still use today.
What if
to improve the WGS 1988, right?
A lot of the Google Earth heights are based on that STS radar survey.
Yeah, I can't remember what mission it was, but yeah, same with we have special departure procedures, and some of that is survey data off the end of the runway with an actual survey. Some of it's topographical, and then some of it's from the STS mission to plot out a course, when you're taking off out of somewhere with a lot of terrain, to be able to plot a course to avoid the terrain if you have an engine failure. And so the data from that, because they're in low Earth orbit in the shuttle, yes, it had to be stitched together, But it's one of those things where flat earthers are like, well, they admitted it, so we're going to take NASA lies, but we'll take this little piece where they admit that they have to stitch it together, take it out of context, and that's what we do all the time. Like, so they admit they're liars, but then they tell you the truth. I don't know. Does my head in.
This is a real image or a combination of real photographs. How else could that be done apart from having what is commonly referred to as a satellite?
I've just been talking while I've been muted.
Well, I'm sure it was very interesting, Alan.
Yeah, never mind.
It was probably what Rich said.
Yeah, well, it was a follow-up to what Rich said, and yeah, bit blown now, isn't it? I've been trying to eat the pizza that only he did it the way Nathan likes it, so it's a bit extra crunchy.
Oh, okay. Did you bring enough for everyone?
Well, there was a whole pizza. And it was cut into like 6 slices, and now there's 1 slice left. So
there wasn't enough for one each.
No, it's my lunch. Bugger off.
Geostationary orbit.
Remember, I have to practice at being a fat bugger.
I thought it was fat bastard.
I was just being polite because we're live on air.
Oh, okay.
Something we can consider as a possibility.
Yeah, and that was also why it sounded like I was eating chips. The bit of crust that's left.
Yeah, we don't know if Ozzie Globehead's been eating his chips or not. He's been muted the whole time.
Well, he's deafened now. Some serious chip eating.
Geostationary balloon satellites. Now, you can easily just look this up on Wikipedia.
I'm eating donuts.
Ah, okay. What happened to the chips? What happened to the chips?
I finished them. I'm actually onto
Wait a
nachos
minute.
now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that. He's sneaky. He was deafened here.
Yeah.
And he heard us talking about him through the live stream.
Yeah, how do you do that?
That's sneaky, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say his ears were burning.
But wait a minute. How can he finish a bag of chips this quick when it takes him a week to normally eat the last bag?
I'm still going with it. I got nacho. What do they call them? Corn chips.
No, I don't like them.
Oh, like Nacho Supreme or Nacho Cheese?
Nacho cheese. That'll take me about a week to eat. I'm going back to my donut.
I was going to say, do you have hands?
I'm going back to my donut.
Eat the whole first.
Yeah, and here it says that geostationary balloon satellites are proposed.
And, I must now attack this last piece of pizza.
Yeah, rub it in.
Atmosphere analogues to satellites.
Okay, Nick, let me stop you there. Of course, Google is already doing this. They're Google Loons. You should Google Loons. I mean, Google Loons. Well, I think you can figure out well, maybe you can't. Just type in Google and then Loons and then balloons, and you'll probably find it. But they've been floating around for a while, even around Australia. But the thing is, they don't just hover geostationary, because they need some way to do it, and they usually do it by controlling their altitude and picking the winds in the favourable directions. But they're not quite like a geostationary satellite, though, Nick. They won't stay exactly in one spot. So they're certainly not going to replace it. And when you say, why would they not build a different technology after they find this first really good technology? Because the new one's better. Which is, why is your car better than it was 50 years ago? Because it's better.
Whatever. Perceive.
But is your car better than it was 50 years ago? My car's, how old's my car? 79 model? Yeah, okay.
How easy it is to misguide us with such fabricated images that can easily be created with computer imagery and data that's collected from a variety of sources and put together to give us these images, not photographs. So I hope that's the last time that I hear.
What? You still need to prove that the images are being faked, yeah?
This ridiculous excuse as some kind of way of debunking the flat Earth.
Nick, if you think that Globies are
Yeah,
not
so
going to
that's just
mention him,
Wally making a statement against the claim.
worry, and just how well it destroys flat Earth ever again in the future.
Because there is no
Mate.
proof they are faked.
Or evidence, even. Just some evidence.
Yes, like you say, some evidence would be good.
Yeah.
No way. Not based on what you just said. You copped nothing. You stopped nothing, mate.
People were really exploring space and were out there with these satellites. We should be given some glorious views of the night sky.
Well, okay, Nick, if you want to see some...
So we've got to do all these things to show flat earthers what's going on, and not just do things for whatever reason that we do them in the first place. Okay.
He really, that just really smelt or sounded like chemo, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're all like that, aren't they? If it's all real, why aren't we... It's the... Why are there no stars in the images from the Apollo missions? And then we explain all about exposure and how they're just, the stars are just underexposed because of how bright the moon is. And then it's, well, why not set a camera to take some pictures of the stars? Well, when you consider that you would still need similar exposure times as you do on the Earth, and which would mean you'd have to set the camera on a properly polar aligned equatorial mount that's being driven at just the right rate for the moon, which is pretty slow, I know. Why would they drag all that junk as well from the ground?
But it's always the same thing. Flat Earthers saying, well, you need to prove this. We want to see that. We want to see that. We want to see this. Well, like, how about they show us something?
Well, they try to show us experiments that they do.
Which, yeah, I mean, how many of those are disingenuous? Like, or just blatantly dishonest. First one pops to mind is Oakley's book, freaking thing, An Angle of Attack in his table tennis hall. Across a totally not level. It was like 1970s, like lino tiles, that had all curved up and whatever.
I bet they were 1950s vintage.
Well,
that looked like that sort of hall.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was in the UK. And
yes.
That looked like the sort of hall that's going to have a floor from the 50s.
And I mean, I can't believe Oakley put that. Sorry to digress, but I can't believe Oakley put that video out, because that just really just looked like he was being a troll. If I was a flat earther, I'd watch that video and go, "What the hell?" Like, are you actually the same? Are you actually just like flat out? Like, is this just a parody and I'm the punchline?
Yeah, but a lot of them think when they put that stuff out that they can't. It's only directed at people that don't know about how floors are laid, and that if they're using a floor that's been laid, whether it's a cement floor or whatever.
But even if you didn't know, you could clearly see that that floor wasn't level. You know, but it's a table tennis hall, which, you know, the floor is obviously very level. But I mean, what is this like? Yeah, I don't know what the you know, the requirements are for a table tennis hall, like for Olympic standards. I mean, they're on a table, so I'm sure the table has to be level, but the floor it's on, I'm sure you can fix, right? You know, you can adjust the table to fix the deficiencies in the floor. Yeah, that was just the biggest piss take, and I'm surprised Nathan put that video out that he didn't lose a lot of following. But back to the video, sorry.
Glorious images from space of the Earth and stars. You only really need to Google search for it. There's heaps of them out there. Oh, Nick, so you want to see a photo of images of the Earth from the moon? Well, you're such in luck. Just the other day when there was an eclipse, there happened to be a few little satellites orbiting the moon, and one of them was pointing back to the Earth, and this is what it grabbed. So enjoy that.
Whatever. Imagery to us as some kind of proof that we live on a globe. Anyone who is able to employ some critical thinking should be able to use their own discernment and work it out for themselves that we are simply not being told the truth, whatever.
And really super finally this time, Nick, if you really want to learn and become educated, lift the ban you have on all those good people who are actually trying to help you learn. Come on, Nick, do it.
Whatever.
Well, sorry, Nick. Sorry to disappoint you. You are going to hear this a lot. The Himawari 8 rocks at smashing flat Earth. It kills it dead, stone dead every single time. Because what you've done here is you come with a whole pile of ideas, but not proved a single one of them. And you only use the word perceive once. So, sorry. No good.
Whatever.
Okay, let's just finish up. Let's play some bits of Wade's Underworld where he went and found some really brilliant things from space. A lot of them from Himawari 8. Oh, poor Nick. You didn't really do well with this one, did you, mate?
Whatever.
We get into trouble for listening to music.
Depends. Mute it. And we can talk. If it's just music in the background, yeah, just mute it and we can just talk in the background again. And we can talk. If it's music in the background, mute it and we can just talk in the background again. Fuck. I was thinking, what's going on? It was my mic with the echo. I'm pretty sure I said the same thing twice for some reason, and then I kept on hearing myself. I'm like, yeah. Anyway,
I wonder if that was a bushfire or something. It was cloud and then there was a dark bit there.
It might be a volcano. Where you've paused it.
Yeah, I paused it there. Wait a minute, I'll go back again.
It might be a volcano. Because it's unlikely that the smoke, well, it can push above the clouds, but the colour, I don't know. I think it's fog.
Well, there's this one. We've just barely seen it before it went dark.
Yeah, I think it's a volcano by the looks.
The volcano.
So how do they CGI the clouds so quick?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I find it interesting that, well, we have technology to be able to render these sort of images in the time available somehow, but we don't have the technology to send satellites to space and just video it. You know.
And the cost of, in today's standards for doing things in CGI, it costs a bit of money, and the time it takes to do something, like just for a few seconds of imagery.
And to keep it all quiet too.
Yeah, Terry, do you know NASA's budget?
Well, I think it's less than what it would cost.
It's a lot friggin' more than mine.
$58 million a day. Are you saying that you can't get a team of people to CGI this stuff for $58 million a day or whatever?
and but getting them to all keep. And Australian Met Office.
Sorry, Alan.
Sorry, I've forgotten where I got to.
Something
Brain
about Met
fart.
Office. Met Office.
Oh, I was going to say it's Himawari is not NASA though, is it? It's JAXA and the Australian Met Office.
Yeah. Primarily JAXA. Yeah. Australia.
Yeah.
Well, everyone. Coattails off the back of it.
Yeah, but I had noticed that it got when you look priority JAXA, Australian Meteorological Office, and then sort of all the other people underneath. It seems like Australia was quite a big contributor to the building and running of the Himawari project.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I don't know sort of where, or how much sort of money changed hands, but yeah, I don't know what the contract is, whatever. But like I was saying before, the satellite images that we used to use before Himawari were pretty awful. It goes west or whatever it goes. I'd have to double check because there was another one. The full disc has always been terrible before Himawari. But if it was an Epic or a GOES satellite, that was pretty good, but it didn't have the resolution still that Himawari has. You can zoom in on that thing and really have what's going on.
What is Himawari about?
Sorry?
I said Himawari. Is it a kilometer pixel? I can't remember. I know I read it signed there. I remember when.
Sorry, I just posted a link if you want to look at the sat.
Where are you? In Sucker?
In the wrong channel.
In the Sucker the Sove?
Yeah. You click on that and play the 3-second or 4-second video they've got.
Yes,
that's
taking me a while to get it.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Well, I think that it might end up being it for tonight, guys. We've been going for 3 hours of nothing. So we'll leave it at that for the Bureau of Meteorology satellite imagery of what's outside at the moment. And it looks like Melbourne's got a bit of cloud going over.
Raining here at the moment.
If you
that's CGI. You can see in the bite.
If you click on the layers link, you can show the coast.
They've overlapped.
Click on where?
The image.
The layers down the bottom left-hand corner.
They've overlapped the image of Australia over the cloud at the bottom in the bite. Look at that.
Which one do you want me to click on?
They've made a faux pas.
Coast.
It says coastal.
Yep.
How did they draw the line around that?
Yay! You did it. Where'd you want your ice cream?
It's been raining here for about the last 2 hours.
Any lightning?
Just rain and cold.
Yeah, just drizzle. Yeah.
Lightning darkness supplied by weather zones. Something. No lightning. Can't see any lightning.
Oh.
More information? Go full screen? No, I don't want to go full screen. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys.
No, thank you.
Yeah, been a good evening. Well, sorry, no, not an evening. Middle of the day for me.
I insist. Thank you, guys.
And I thank all of... How many people are inside chat? Kristen and Leah's in there. Oh, Rich is in there. Carl's in there.
Yeah.
Carl. C4 was in there. He had to go there earlier. I didn't see that. Okay then. Over and out. Roger, whatever it is.
There you go, Kirsten. I've become number whatever.
Oh, what? You're 102? Far out. That's the one I was going for.
Well, it actually told me I was number 96, but there you go. At least I think that's right. Yeah, 100.
Yeah, well, I'll be 103 then.
What's this number mean? Please explain.
Oh. Kristen needed one more subscriber.
Oh.
To break the 100, so.
Oh, I don't have to do it now.
Well, you're going to be 104. But yeah, I was saying that I was like, typed in chat, I'll be 102 then. And then Alan subscribed, and I'm 103. But that's okay.
I'll have to check after to see if I'm subbed. I should be already.
So have you stopped the stream, Terry? Or?
I'm just about to, because I was waiting for Carl and Globehead to say goodbye, and Quasar. And...
I was just double checking, before we go offline and just get totally loose.
Bye.
Say bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
No.
No.